Thank you for staying tuned. You're still watching In the Game here on News Central Television. Don't forget, we're streaming live on YouTube, and you can also follow us and join the conversation on our social media handles, X, Facebook, and Instagram. So, the group phase of the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations concluded, and we now know that the Super Eagles of Nigeria will face old rivals, the indomitable Lions of Cameroon, on Saturday at the Felix Houphouët-Boigny Stadium in Abidjan. The tie comes 40 years after Cameroon came back from conceding an early goal to beat Nigeria by 3-1 in the final of the 1984 AFCON at the same venue. How cool is that? And in fact, Nigeria has lost 2 other AFCON finals to Cameroon in 1988 in Morocco, I beg your pardon, and that particularly painful one in Lagos in 2000. Everybody remembers that penalty missed by Victor Ekpeba. Well, there wasn't VAR back then, so we can't really tell if it scored or not. But ahead of Saturday's match, Super Eagles defenders Bright Osai Samuel and Kenneth Omero revealed that they were eagerly looking forward to the encounter.
Of course, now it's knockouts, you know. So there's no 3 points now. It's either you win and you're through, or if you lose, you're out. So we know that comes with pressure. But like I said, I think if you look at in our group, we have players with vast experience, you know, in this situation that we're in now. I think we have the players that can, you know, thrive in this situation. So I think if you look around the group, everyone's confident. Everyone's looking forward to the game, me, myself. And, you know, Cameroon are a very strong team. You know, they've got good players. But like I said, I think if we focus on ourselves and look at what we can do and how we can hurt them, then I think we have a very good chance of winning the game.
Obviously, Cameroon is a familiar face. They're a country that we've played several times before, a country with good players. But, you know, we're focused, we're training, and I think by the time the game gets closer, we believe in the coaches to provide us with the best tactics to win the game. We're confident, you know. After the last game, we said to ourselves, whoever we get next, we just have to keep to our game plan, take it 100%, and you know, we can beat it.
Well, those were the voices of Bright Osai Samuel and the Kenneth Omero defenders with the Super Eagles, Nigeria's national team. We'll join our correspondent in Abidjan now, Favor Itua, our man on the ground. He has been bringing us live updates from everything that has been happening in Abidjan and Côte d'Ivoire so far. Favor, bonjour, ça va?
Bien, bonjour, Babatunde.
How are you, Favor? Well, let's quickly get into it. We heard that there was jubilation in Abidjan last night when it was confirmed that the hosts, Côte d'Ivoire, had managed to squeeze into the round of 16.
Yes, of course, it once again confirms that Ivory Coast is a lover of football. I mean, the nation went wild in celebration after that game involving Morocco. You need to see the streets of Abidjan. A lot of persons were dancing, chanting, waving the flag of orange, you know, saying a lot of things. And some of them also particularly, sent congratulatory and thankful messages to Morocco for doing the job for them. Right here in our base in Abidjan, precisely Riviera Palmerie, it was, of course, interesting celebrations as, of course, the village close to us were thrown into wide celebrations. Their indigenous music went on air, including the official team song of AFCON. I mean, both the women, the ladies, the men, the kids, every gender and every age category, you know, did celebrate what happened last night. And some of them said it was another opportunity for them to, you know, redeem themselves, get back to winning ways, and tell the nation that they can actually do and win the Nations Cup. But then, of course, they're playing against Senegal. That's a big team and the defending champions. But one thing is certain, Côte d'Ivoire, there is happiness, jubilation in the streets of Abidjan and, of course, amongst other cities.
That's absolutely incredible. I'm wondering, they are celebrating so hard for squeezing in through the back door. What would they possibly do if they somehow, against all odds, eventually win the tournament? But, Favor, what is the latest update from the Super Eagles camp? I mean, we've heard from Bright Osai Samuel and Kenneth Omero. How are the rest of the squad looking forward to Saturday's game?
Well, of course, the Super Eagles of Nigeria began preparations via their training session on Wednesday. And of course, interestingly to note, Trus Ekong had full time with the team. He got into full training. Alhassan Yusuf is fully back. He trained full time with the team. And not forgetting Zaidou Sanusi, who before this game, before the last game, did not really train fully with the team, but he was involved within the last few minutes of that game against Guinea-Bissau. So the boys are confident. Injury worries not what we are talking about at the moment, because the players are good to go. It's left for Joseph Pesero to now tinker his squad towards getting the win. But then the confidence in camp is very high. The boys know what is at stake, especially for players who played Cameroon in 2021. That's the AFCON. We, of course, Alexi Wobi was part of that game. And as, 2019, I beg your pardon. So the boys know what they need to do. And then looking at Abidjan being the city that will host this game, a lot of persons are looking forward to this game. And the Super Eagles will also look forward to their route towards the finals, as looking at the teams they may potentially meet if they defeat Cameroon. It's not much of a big on paper, but of course it's the world of football. So we'll wait to see what happens on Saturday. But the camp is boosting with confidence.
Well, Favour, we heard that the Minister of Sports also had a long video call with the team yesterday. What did they talk about?
Yeah, the Minister of Youth of Sports, Nigeria, Eno Owa, did call the players. And then, first of all, he highlighted the importance of getting the win, and not just getting the win, also ensuring that Nigeria plays well. He did also mention that the president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is not really excited about the way they played and is expecting an improved performance against Cameroon. Yes, of course, from the nation angle, they want to see the Super Eagles play well. They want to see goals. But maybe for the coach's angle, he wants result. But at the end of the day, the minister was able to let them know that the nation is behind them, and he also urged them to go for a kill and go for the trophy and ensure that the players write their names in the annals of history in Nigeria. And trust me, it's expected of every nation to boost the players. It's expected for them to also motivate them towards getting the win. But at the end of the day, it's left for the talks to be written down in the field of play, and the players also implementing whatever motivation they've gotten so far. But I think the Super Eagles also know what is at stake. They don't need anyone to tell them the importance of it. First of all, they are also bettering themselves as players, and they're also playing for the nation, of course, Nigeria. So we expect to see how they carry on the advice and the urge from the Minister of Sports.
Well, Favour, what about the members of the Nigeria Football Federation's executive committee? I believe you've been seeing a few of them around. What have they been saying ahead of that game on Saturday?
The members of the Nigerian Football Federation, yes, they are here. Some board members from different zones in Nigeria, including Aisha Falode from the South Zone. We also have the General Secretary talking about Mohamed Sanusi is also right here in Abidjan. Even past board members also in Abidjan to also cheer the team to glory. They seem optimistic. I mean, yes, of course, they are holding positions that they need to also show their optimism, but they really looked confident that Nigeria can go all the way. Maybe because, of course, what we've seen from the first, second, and third game, beating the host nation, that has probably given them the courage to dare to dream about winning the fourth title. But they are confident, they're optimistic, and we've not had any issues of players complaining of their bonuses and everything. So there's no distractions at all. The only thing now left for the board member is to continue to cheer the team and for the players to do their job on the field of play. Hopefully we'll get to see more board members join, but so far so good. We've been having plethora of board members coming from different zones, from the NFF to Abidjan.
Okay, finally, Favour, I do recall that the Felix Houphouët-Boigny Stadium is located right smack in the middle of Abidjan. So can we expect an even greater presence by Nigerian fans for that match, even greater than the one that we saw at that game against Guinea-Bissau?
Well, before the fixture was made, talking about the draws for the round of 16, I did pray that Nigeria would not leave Felix Houphouët-Boigny Stadium. Yes, if they had finished first at top of the group, they would have gone to the Alassane Ouattara Stadium. But trust me, with what we saw against Guinea-Bissau, we saw massive support from Nigerian indigenes right here in Abidjan. So you can imagine what they will get in the round of 16. A lot of them stay just about 20 minutes range from the stadium. And you can imagine that if you stay in, for instance, Freshville, you stay in Kokoji, you stay in Bengalville. These are places close to the stadium, and it's very accessible compared to Alassane Ouattara that is close to 1 hour from town. So it's going to be beneficial for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and we'll get to see more persons come around to support. Not also forgetting a lot of indigenes who have loved the Super Eagles of Nigeria to also join in the supportership. And for Cameroon, traveling to Abidjan, they will begin to now build, they'll begin to acclimatize. So Super Eagles at the moment will have an edge over the Indomitable Lions in terms of supportership.
Well, Favor, I hope the fans can also do the Super Eagles a favor by turning out en masse on match day. Thank you very much, Favor Itwa, our man in Abidjan, bringing us live updates, corner quicks, in-swingers, all the way from Abidjan as the Africa Cup of Nations has been going down. Thank you very much, Favor. Of course, you've heard from him everything that is possible regarding the Super Eagles' possible win on Saturday against the Indomitable Lions has been done by not only the Nigerian Football Federation, but also the federal government as well. You heard that the Minister of Youth and Sports also called in and to wish the team well and also try to encourage them to go for a great game. Well, joining us now is seasoned football journalist, publisher of ACL Sports, my good friend and my good, do I say my good boss, Calvin Emeka Onwuka, who is the publisher of ACL Sports. He joins us live from London, a very chilly London. It's very, very different from what we're experiencing in London here, Calvin, but it's good to have you on the show.
Thank you today. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, you've been watching the Africa Cup of Nations very closely. So far, so good. In terms of organization, would you say this has been a good, great, or average tournament?
Couldn't speak about the organization because I'm not there yet, and that's very painful to me. I've got my accreditation and I had everything sorted, but I've not reached there, so I won't speak about organization. But in terms of football, today I've been watching AFCON since 1980. 1980 was my first proper AFCON. This AFCON makes me so happy. The main reason why it makes me so happy was that I tweeted a day before. I made a post on X a day before the tournament started. I said, now the only tournament that is bigger than the AFCON is the FIFA World Cup. And I got so many people sending me all sorts of insults in return. But now I asked them 2 days ago, who is laughing now? This is, I said it, I challenge Europe in Germany to try and better or even match the excitement that we have seen throughout this first round of matches at the AFCON. It makes me so proud. I swear, I am so proud of this, of what all the countries have done. This is probably the first time in my lifetime that an AFCON tournament gets to the match day three. Match day three. And everybody, every game meant something on match day three. Every game meant something. And that's huge.
Calvin, I do have to agree with you, considering the fact that international broadcasters are not even talking about the Asian Cup that's currently going on. It's all about the Africa Cup of Nations. It's been incredible. But I want to put this one to you. The tournament used to be 16 teams before, but it's been expanded to 24 over the last few editions. Would you say that has contributed to the incredible games that we've been seeing?
I have to eat my words on that because I thought 24 nations was as a tournament was diluting the quality. But given what has happened this tournament, it has helped the teams who hadn't qualified before, but were able to qualify for the first time in 2019, qualify for the last one that Cameroon hosted. So they've come here. And they've not been, they've not been intimidated. They felt, okay, we're supposed to be here. So that has allowed them to go out and take on every team. No team has been intimidated by the opposition. So yes, that's the increase in number of teams has probably helped in this quality that we've experienced at this tournament. I have to say that. But if I was still making a decision, I'll go back to 16 teams.
It's too late for that now, Calvin. But like you said, we've seen some incredible games, some amazing scorelines and results. We've seen some big teams go home, the likes of Tunisia, the likes of Ghana. Is it safe to say that the gap has closed between the big teams on the African continent and the Minnows? Or is it that the big teams have stagnated and the Minnows have just gotten better?
It could be a bit of both. You could say that, but I can also say that the good thing about football at the moment is that a lot of countries are producing players, and the desire to go and play in Europe has helped most players improve themselves, and they also know that the better they perform at their national teams, the greater their chances of landing good contracts in Europe. So that's what has happened. I don't think the big teams have stagnated. No. I think it's more to do with teams now coming up to come and meet the so-called big teams. And it's only good for the African continent. It's good for the African tournament. It's fantastic, I have to say.
No. Well, Calvin, already we've seen some coaches pay the price for their team's performances. Jean Louis Gasset has been fired by the host Côte d'Ivoire with a cannon. Chris Hughton was also fired by Ghana. Even before the plane landed in Accra, he was already fired in the air. Tom Seifert of the Gambia fell on his sword. He resigned. Jamel Belmadi was also relieved of his duties. Really sad performance by him. Considering the fact that, Jamel Belmadi has not won a game at the Africa Cup of Nations since they won in that final in 2019. What do you make of all these decisions? Is it hasty or is it expected?
Belmadi had to be sacked. After winning in 2019, they didn't make the 2022 World Cup. They didn't win any game in the previous AFCON. So his was the most expected. They had to go. The Ivorian coach also had to go. You do not lose 4-0 at home in the tournament you're hosting. You don't lose 4-0 at home. Somebody has to pay the price. There was no way they were going to chuck all the players, so he had to be the coach. Seinfeld has done well for Gambia. So he felt that he has done his best for them. So that was on him, and he chose to go. I don't think there's any manager at this moment who has lost his job who should not have gone. I don't think so. Funny enough, earlier this morning, I was speaking to a Ghanaian here, and he was just telling me that why did they even give Chris Hughton the job? He said he should never have gotten the job. So I don't think there's any Ghanaian who is sad that Chris Hughton has been sacked. That goes to say precisely what I've said. There's no coach that has lost his job now that anybody say he was unfairly treated.
Okay, well let's leave Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire and all the teams that have left. Let's talk about a team that is still in the tournament, and I'm talking about your own and my own Super Eagles of Nigeria. How impressed have you been with them in this tournament so far?
Impressed. We're winning. We're not considering goals. So we're getting the job done. That's, sincerely speaking, that's probably the best you can ask of any football team. Win. I heard Favour Itua saying that the sports minister and the president were saying that they were not impressed with how they've played. The sports minister and the president, frankly speaking, should stay out of this. This is completely past them. They don't know what it takes to the alchemy that is required to bring football teams to the boil. So they should. That's not their remedy to talk about the team not playing well, frankly, because that adds unnecessary pressure on the players, and we don't need that going into a knockout round game against a country like Cameroon. What my problem with the team is the fact that the defenders, the centre backs we have are not brave enough, or they're not coached enough to move forward, and so we can squeeze up the game. So what has happened in every game is that there's been a huge gap between there's no gap. There's not plenty of gap between the midfield and the defense, but there's a big gap between the midfield and our attack. So that's why we get our centre backs going long all the time. So our transition is not smooth. We don't play through the midfield. I'm hoping, again, let me be very clear here today. Would I want us to play sweet, lovely football and lose to Cameroon on Saturday? No. I don't care how we play on Saturday as long as we don't lose to Cameroon.
Typical, you don't mind to wobble and fumble to the final, as we say here in Nigeria.
I don't care how we play.
You just want to win.
This tournament.
Well, Calvin, I have to ask you this question. I mean, God, you have to admit that God has a sense of humor. The 1984 Africa Cup of Nations final was in Abidjan between Nigeria and Cameroon. 40 years later, these two teams meet again at the same venue. And all the players in this team, I don't think any one of them was born when that match was played. But tell us a bit about that game.
It's ironically that you're playing that. I just finished editing that match now on my system. We're going to post it on our handle. That match, how much left me is part of the things that I've left this card. Because going into that game, we were just bullied by the bigger, stronger, more experienced Cameroonian team. Abega, Aldu Ibrahim, Roger Miller, Ernest Ebongwe, they were just too strong for us, and they won the game. They won the game comfortably, and I thought the officiating was very bad because they kicked lumps out of our good players, Henry Musu, Humphrey Edobo, James Etokibe. They just kicked lumps out of them, and it wasn't fun. I was 14. I was 14 at the time, and it was very painful. I remember it to this day. It's part of the reasons why I can never support Cameroon in every football match.
I can imagine. So Nigeria actually scored in the 10th minute of that game, only to end up losing by 3-1. One of those goals was scored by the legendary Theophile Abega, like you said. But I have to ask you this final question, Calvin. Can Nigeria beat Cameroon on Saturday? Do these players understand the sense of occasion that it requires to play Cameroon and defeat them? One player, Alex Iwobi, scored the winner the last time Nigeria played against Cameroon at the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations. Does he have it in him to repeat that performance?
I tell you the good thing today. I'm happy that these players, I hope that they have no sense of history going into this game. I really hope so, because that would make them feel very free to play their game and not to bother that they're playing Cameroon. Does that make sense? Because that sense of history of the big matches that we've lost to Cameroon would inhibit them. In terms of personnel, we're good to go. We're really good to go in this game. We're good enough to beat Cameroon. And yes, we'll beat Cameroon.
Amen to that. Calvin Emeka Onwuka, thank you so much for joining us all the way from a very chilly London, England. And I'm sure millions of Nigerians will be praying along with you that Nigeria can defeat the indomitable Lions, who are a bogey team. Believe it or not, Nigeria have lost 3 AFCON finals to this same team. The most painful of them was that one in Lagos in 2000. But thank you so much for joining us, Calvin Onwuka.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.